What's going on beside Texas? This is Justin Paddock coming to you with your 5 Minute Friday, and I am over here talking about Psalm 30 today. So, Psalm 30 is one of these Psalms that I read, and I thought, I did not know I'd be in the season I was in right now with my life when I first knew I was going to share this with you guys today. But I am super, super glad to be bringing y'all this today. I was highly encouraged by reading this Psalm given the season of my life right now, and I hope that it encourages you the same way it encouraged me. So I'm just going to start reading the first verse here. A psalm, a song for the dedication of the temple of David. So what this is, to me, is it's a David psalm, obviously, but to me it's like, okay, somebody with the story of King David that had the struggles he had, that went through some of the things he went through, made some of the decisions that he made. He still had God's favor. He still had God's blessing, and he still had things in his life that set him up as one of the greatest stories in the Bible, and one of the characters that people remember. So I really wanted to, think about that as we get started, because it really has a theme through this whole psalm, and I'm highly encouraged by the fact that David's in this story or in the Bible at all, with everything he went through and all the things that happened to him. But at the same time, God uses all these people like that to make his stories happen. So that was just a starting point of encouragement for me. But as the verse goes on, in verse 2, I will exalt you, Adonai, for you have lifted me up and did not let my enemies gloat over me. So to me, this says God lifts us up out of these places where the things that are trying to overtake us can't actually defeat us, and that God's lifting us up out of those places, that we're not bringing ourselves out of those places, but it's God who brings us through them. And then verse 3 goes on to say, Adonai, my God, I cried to you for help, and you healed me. Adonai, you brought my soul up from Sheol. You kept me alive so I would not go down to the pit. So this is encouraging to me because it says to me that we can cry out to God for anything, and that God can save us from even the darkest, deepest plunges that we fall into. That even if we seem like there's no way out, or that there's no way God could understand what I'm going through, there's no way that I could pull out of this attitude, or that God will understand this, or still think that my calling is worthy. None of that is true. Those are all things from the enemy. So this verse 3 and 4 goes to prove that God can rescue us from the deepest of dark places. So then verse 5 goes on to say, sing praise to Adonai, his faithful ones, and praise his holy name, which means, to me, placing that after the struggle conversation is so perfect, to say that God will lift us up out of these places. God will pull us from the deepest, darkest pits. And then don't forget to worship him. Don't forget to praise him. Don't forget that he's the one that brought you through that. So to me, the placing of that is just perfect. And then verse 6 goes on to say, this is a powerful one for me. For his anger lasts only for a moment. His favor is for a lifetime. So even when we make wrong decisions, even when we do things that may not be in line with what God would want us to do, or that we say things that are wrong, or go in the wrong path in some way, we still have this hope that even though God's anger is present, his judgment is present, it's only for a moment, whereas the favor and the calling that he's placed on our lives is forever. The calling he's placed on us is 100% always active. And then the second part of verse 6 says, weeping may stay for the night, but joy comes in the morning, which means all the dark, despairing places we just talked about are 100% temporary. That there's seasons in life. There's winters, there's summers. So when we go through the winters, let it, understand that it's just for a season. And when we go through the summers, rejoice through the summers. So to me, that verse 6 is just highly encouraging. So verse 7, when I felt secure, I said, I will never be shaken. God is our solid rock and our foundation. So love that verse. Verse 8, Adonai, in your favor, you made my mountains stand strong. When you hid your face, I was terrified. To you, Adonai, I called, and to my Lord I made my plea. What gain is there in my blood, in my going down to the pit? Will the dust praise you? Will it declare your truth? Hear, Adonai, be gracious to me. Adonai, be my help. This is a cry out to God for me, just to say that people are so valuable to other people's connections with God, to, our calling in the world. And summing this up all in verse 12 and 13. You turned my mourning into dancing. You removed my sackcloth and clothed me with joy. So my glory will sing to you and not be silent. Adonai, my God, I will praise you forever. So this is our calling to rejoice in the hard times, rejoice in the good times, and to always remember that God will turn our hard times into good times and our mourning into dancing, our deep, dark pits He will pull us out of and make it okay and make us rejoice through it. So I'm glad you guys hear this today. I hope you guys have a great day.